Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this is going to be kind of like a ramble, a rant, but I'm going to discuss and talk about some things. Why I chose a 7.62 by 39 AK over an AR type platform as one of those. If you could only choose one assault rifle or whatever, these are not really assault rifles. These are semi-automatic weapons. I think that's where we have to take, as far as like Second Amendment goes, we have to take the language that's being used and force them to realistically call it what it is. Because you know what was going to happen with an assault weapon ban? A lot of things that are not assault weapons would have been labeled as assault weapons because they would have changed the rule from assault weapon being something that can go fully automatic to something that's semi-automatic. Well, you encompass a lot of weapons with that, but that's the language of banning. That's how the language of banning works. They're changing what this is, yes, or weapons of war. These are two terms that you're going to hear a lot of on when they try to ban your AR-15 or AK-47 or AKM or anything like that. Anything that looks like or has been used by the military could be lumped into that. Semi-automatic pistols, those are weapons of war. Those have been used in war, 9mm. So the problem is of definition. Let me get this door here. I hear shadow wanting in, but that's another story. That's talking about banning weapons and everything else. But one of the good things about this is, first off, it doesn't have to be nefarious. A lot of times people collect militaria. Like whatever our military had, a lot of people, especially veterans and stuff, would like to have one of those of their own if it's legal, just for nostalgia reasons. This was a weapon of our opponent when I was in the military. My platform was and had been for the longest time the AR-15 or M16 type of platform. That's what I was trained with, on in basic training, and in the military. That's what I used a lot when I was a civilian. I built my own AR-15 with a matched upper and lower receiver, a heavy barrel, 20-inch. I was building up basically like at the time Colt had what they called the Delta Force AR or something. It had a scope on a heavy barrel and a different rate of twist for heavier bullets. Back then the 55 grain was what we were using a lot, and they were switching to a heavier bullet. But what I liked about the AR was the ergonomics of it. That's different here on the AK, and we'll start off with the safety. Now, all of these things, there are workarounds too. All right, every issue that I'm talking about on the AK, there are workarounds too. On an M16, when you put your hand right here is your selector lever. You don't have to shift your position of your hand or your stock or your hold or anything. You just click and you're off safe, and a click again, you're on into full auto. An AK, on the other hand, you have to reach up. You got to have long fingers. They make safeties selectors, that has a ledge right here for you could do that if you want to. But I've been watching a lot of videos from people that have actually used AKs and trained with them and everything. And the Russian concept of the safety is, if you're in an area where there might be battle, there's no on and off of the selector switch. You're off safe. And this is your safety. Your finger. You keep your finger off the trigger. That's your safety. And I mean, that's really what it comes down to a lot of times anyways. That's the best way to prevent an accidental discharges, you never touch the trigger. Now, something else could, with this off, you know, if there's a round in the chamber and it's off safe, whatever amount of force it takes to pull that trigger is all it takes to go off at least once, you know. But I got a chamber flag in here to let you know there's nothing in here, and it's an empty magazine. I was just going to talk about ergonomics, and I figured, well, I need something to demonstrate with. Now the AR-15, they've improved it and everything, but the tolerances are a lot tighter, so the accuracy is greater, but so is the finickiness of it, and the need for maintenance and cleaning. Now, I'm of the belief no matter what weapon you've got, when there's downtime or whatever, clean it, you know, just to make sure. Just go over it, look over it, make sure that, you know, there's not something in the barrel or in the chamber, or, you know, anything that's about to fall off, or anything like that. Now, if you're gonna stick with a particular platform, you need everything that's expendable in it. Ammunition. Back then, when I bought this ammunition, there was no Russian ammo or Chinese ammo import ban, you know, and there was tons of that stuff. There still is out in the world. It's just that it's not available to America for, you know, political reasons, you know, because those are and always have been kind of like our adversary, and I guess they figured out, hey, if you're buying Russian or Chinese ammo, in a way, you're supporting the Russian and Chinese military. So maybe that was a logic. I don't know. But anyways, I got it when it was cheap. That shadow over there, when he's finished with his food, even though there's food in there, he covers it up like a cat would if they took a crap. So let me pause this for a second. So getting back to ergonomics, it can be made. It can be made easier, you know, like you can work on this if the selector level, like on mine, is fairly hard to push up and down. You know, it's like I said, you're not going to get rid of that clacky sound. I'm not worried about it. I'm never going to have this thing where it's as easy to flick on and off as an M16 or AR-15. I'm just going to go with the concept of, you know, when it's on safe, it's on safe, and when it's off safe, it's off safe. And as always, you know, this is your safety. And you know, you can never make anything totally safe. There's always going to be some way to make anything dangerous. You know, sharpened pencil. It's not totally safe, but as long as you know how to use it and everything, and you're not, it's not as dangerous as it could be. The reason why I went with this is because it's accurate enough for what I expect to use it for, if I ever expect to use it, you know, as a anti-personnel weapon or something. It's going to be accurate enough for my eyesight, you know, which is like at most like 300 meters. I mean, I can hit further out than that, but with iron sights and everything, what am I doing, you know, in a situation where I'm firing that far away? So, you know, I keep mine pretty much basic. I like you may have seen, I have a bunch of different rails I could put on there. You know, like I could put a rail up here, I could put a rail back here. They make them now where it's hinged and it's more secure, and you can have you can put the original Russian rail, you know, scope mount on the side and everything. Optics are advantageous. One of the disadvantages to the AK system, you know, accuracy right here, is you have a very short sight radius. It's like 14 inches or so. Most rifles take advantage of putting a rear sight back here, but they knew, wow, this is just a dust cover. This is in the way. I don't know their whole reasoning behind it, but I mean, I guess it was enough for them, you know, to use it. But I might do something with that U-notch. They have like a little peep sight, but I mean, that's just a different thing. You just replace the rear sight blade with, you know, a peep. And you can still have your sliders, you know, do your range. I don't know. The front sight is just a regular front sight, but you can either put glow-in-the-dark paint in or get a tritium sight if you want. You know, you can get accessories, different handguards with put rails on it, weapon light and everything. That might be something that I, you know, do to it in the future, you know, weapon light or anything. But I don't expect to get into any super battles or anything. I Ranger band or, you know, rubber band, bicycle inner tube type, put my AK cleaning kit in there on the buttstock. It still works when it folds over. I can make this thing compact, or this is long enough. It's not adjustable pull, but you can get an M4 stock adapter, you know, if you want to do that. I'm not going to run around in body armor or anything like that with this, and if I do, man, I was just practicing, you know, getting my weapon back and everything, carrying it around loaded, and then I put on different, I have a Chinese chest rig for magazines that holds 6 of them, and my God, that stuff's heavy, and those little narrow straps and everything. I'm not built for even just standing around on patrol with 6 magazines of this. Sorry, it's early morning, cat rotation. Shadow went out, Buddy came in, and he brought his girlfriend with him, so it's kind of busy right now. They'll all want back out, and then everything will be cool here in a little bit, but in the meantime, they're chowing down, so if you hear any crunching, that's what's going on over there. All right, so the ergonomics are not quite as good. The magazines are heavy because they're metal. The M16s, you know, are always been aluminum magazines, and they were a lot lighter. You put 30 rounds of, you know, like back then, 5.56 was like a 55 grain bullet. I guess now they're gone up to like 63 or something like that. But these are like 123 or 125 grain or so. So, I mean, the weight of the bullet itself is already double what an M16 was, you know, for that. An M16 round shoots a little bit flatter, so it's gonna be easier to get hits with, depending on how you use it. But anyways, back to the ergonomics and stuff. Another thing that I liked about the M16 was also from your thumb position, all you have to do is slide a little forward, hit this button right here, and bam. Your magazine just dropped out. I mean, it just fell out. With an AK, it's different. You have to push this lever forward and rock the magazine out. There's like a little lip, but it catches on up here. You can see the little indent, and you've got to position that in and rock it in, you know, when you go to reloading. It's not quite as easy to reload, all right? So you got to keep that in mind. But the thing about all of this stuff is familiarity, you know? There used to be a saying, beware of the man with only one gun because he probably knows how to use it. If this is the main thing that you use and you carry it, it's just like taking off that dust cover and putting it back on. You know, at first it's kind of awkward until you figure out a technique. You know, once you figure it out, it's pretty easy. But at first, it's going to be kind of fumbly. You want to figure all that stuff out before you need to use it in an emergency. You don't want to do on-the-job training with a lot of this stuff because your life or somebody else's life is in danger when you have to whip one of these out for self-defense. And like I said, learning on the job with your weapon of defense, whatever it is not the time. Now is the time to practice when things are calm or whatever, you know, but not, you don't want to be the recruit, you know, that's pulled in there and doesn't know the first thing about all this stuff, and you got to worry about that besides everything else you might have to worry about in a conflict situation. So first off, the reality of it is I'm not going to be toting around a lot of heavy magazines, you know. I'm going to put them, instead of in a chest rig, I'm going to put them in something like this. You know, it holds it a lot easier. It's not, the chest rig is kind of good. Let me dig that thing up just to show you what it is. This dust and all that stuff that's coming out of here, that's because corrosion. I mean, this stuff's just been sitting. There hasn't been a lot of moisture or anything, but I had a magnesium fire starter. I found out those ferro rods just like self-destruct over time if they get around moisture or something. In theory, this thing would look good. You got 2 accessory pockets on the side. You can put extra ammo or parts. You have double stacked magazines up here. These little toggles are not bad. You know, they're wooden. They're easy to repair. They're fairly simple. It's right up on your chest, you know, and accessible. There's a separate one here that's lined for like an oil bottle. And like I said, you can always put like extra ammo in there if you want. The problem with this, you know, it's made out of canvas. If you can read this, looks like it was made in 1979. As far as I can tell, here's the different proof marks and inspection. That's probably in Chinese. If you can read this, you are Chinese. That's probably what that says. But yeah, for the amount of weight that you're carrying with all this, these straps are too thin. I'll tell you that right now. You kind of crisscross it, you know. You tie this around so that it wraps around your waist or, you know, chest or whatever you want. Man, just sitting there, just standing around, walking around in the apartment with this on, with that on, for 5 minutes was enough for me to know that, man, I ain't ever going to do this. I'm never going to need this. If something happens, I'm not carrying ammo this way. I'm sorry. I'm going to put it in a backpack, or I'm going to put it on something. Yeah, it's not going to be as accessible. Come on, man. How many firefights do you think I'm going to get into in almost my 70s, you know? It's not very realistic that I would need it. And if I did, I'd just adapt. I'd do it. Say, hey, if I'm with some squad, I'll say, look, man, you got an old man on point. Why don't one of you 20-year-olds get up here? I'm tired of this, you know? Let me walk in the back. I'll watch your ass. You watch my front, you know? But like I said, I don't think any of this is going to be necessary for me. This is more of just nostalgia. I like having these things as this is my social unrest insurance. Let's put it that way. If it gets to a point where I really need this, everybody's going to know about it already. It's going to be no secret. You're either going to be taking care of yourself or you're going to be taken care of. And I like independence. I'd rather take care of myself than have somebody take care of me. You know, I'm getting old, so I mean, one day I may, you know, they're going to take all this stuff away if you start getting senile or old. Uncle Billy is crazy. You need to take away his guns and his knives and all sharp objects and those dinosaurs. He's crazy. I'm not crazy, you know. I've responsibly had guns and weapons my entire life. If it ever gets to the point where I am that crazy, you know, I be glad if they took that stuff away from me. It's not going to save anything, you know. It's not going to. Here goes the whole thing of, you know, do you protect someone from themselves? Well, if they're going to harm themselves or others, you know, you kind of like have a responsibility to do something about it, you know. But if they're not harming themselves or others, it's none of your business. It's none of your business how many knives someone has, how many guns they have, what caliber they're in, or anything else. If they're not harming you, and they've never been used against you, you have no right to say, I want that taken away from them. And if you do, you have to do it in America constitutionally. You know, you have to do it through the constitutional process. And if you're not doing it that way, then what you're doing is unlawful. And just like in the military, you know, soldiers do not have to obey unlawful orders, even if it's given by a general. You know, if it's unlawful, it's unlawful. So, you know, I didn't want this to be a big rant about, you know, politics and all this other stuff, because I've had enough of politics for the last 10 years. Okay, so I guess to get down back to the AK platform and why did I choose it, even though the rounds are not as flat shooting and they're not as available as they used to be, I have enough ammo to last me for all the imaginary firefights that I think I might get into. If I don't survive beyond my ammo capacity that I've got, then I'm not going to survive. You know, no matter how many rounds I've got, I either resupply and replenish off of battlefield pickups, or yeah, it won't matter. You know, I've got basically the platform that I'm going to use and continue to get familiar with. Like I said, I'm not going to trick it out a lot. I've already got, this is a storage stock in the base here. There's not a whole lot that I need for it. Maybe some spare parts, you know, like maybe firing pin, springs. You know, you can get these kits. You can get the little stuff. If I wanted to play around with a different selector level, this isn't too hard to take out. Yeah, springs, you know, hammer and recoil spring, that double wound thing, you know, maybe replace or have a replacement for that. I'm not worried about the gas piston or all of that other stuff. And the sights are good enough for what I have right now. I can always add things, you know, like a laser sight and all that other stuff. You can make this thing super high speed, low drag if you want, or you can just keep it basic, which is what I like about it too, because once you learn anything, you know, if this becomes your favorite knife and you start using it, you're going to find out that what its limitations are, what its advantages are. It's a little bit different with something like this, because this is like car insurance. It's something that you have, but you hope you never need to use. But it's also, for me, like I said, nostalgia. I love shooting them. I love trying to get better with them, you know, more proficient. But this is also, like I said, a last ditch. If SHTF, you know, happens, this is going to be with me if I can carry it. And man, it's heavy. I don't have a vehicle to pack it on other than you know, me on a scooter. Me on a scooter with an AK strapped, you know, around me, or a mountain bike. It's kind of funny, but you know, they have been using. I mean, you're exposed. You don't have any kind of armor when you're on a bike or a motorcycle or anything else. But anyways, yeah, that's why I chose this. I already have plenty of magazines for this thing. Like I said, I got plenty of ammo. It's just a matter of refamiliarizing myself with this platform and getting used to it, and just getting, you know, comfortable with the basic operation of it. You know, loading and unloading magazines, charging it. You know, there's a different way of charging it. Like I said, the M16, you pull the little ears back here, and you let it go, wham. Or if it was already pulled back, you just hit a little lever over here on the side, and it would let the bolt release and go forward. The AK, if you're right-handed, you're going to have to bring your left hand over and charge it that way. There may be other ways, you know, maybe I always like to keep my hand on the pistol grip whatever I'm doing, you know, keep my hand on the pistol grip and use the other hand to control stuff. The offhand, you know, the one that maybe you support the weapon with. And really just learn what it's like, how it is to carry it around and stuff. If it's going to be your main weapon, you know. Some people, their situation is different. They're on a farm, they've got an ATV, they can put the thing on the rack, you know, and they can ride around, and they don't have to lug it, you know. It's different if you've got to carry a weapon around. That's when weight starts to matter, you know. If you've got to carry all this stuff plus a backpack with your food and water, and what are you doing? Are you on patrol, or are you at a base? You know, do you got to walk a lot with it? Even just standing around, this shit is heavy. Like I said, I'm an old man. I don't expect to need to do this, you know. But if I do, I'm not afraid to, you know. It's gonna be rough, man. If you depend on me, times are really bad, you know. But yeah, there you go. That's my little rant. It is less accurate. I think it's more reliable than the M16. I think it's less finicky. It's not perfect. It's not like what the myth is or whatever. But it's been proven. You know, if all that was hype, they wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. And it's the same thing with the M16. It didn't start out exactly perfect, but it's been changed to be a much better weapon. And even the Russians realized that for the range that they're using their weapons and everything, they can go with a smaller round. They went with a 5.45, which is even smaller than a 223, you know, a 5.56. So the whole concept behind these weapons are battlefield is changing now. You know, a lot of this is automation, drones, and stuff like that. So even shotguns are coming back into play because they're good against the little whiny things. If they get too close and it's one of those, it's going to wipe you out. If you can detonate it before it hits you, you better hope you'd practice skeet shooting or whatever when you were a kid, you know, because then it's become natural. But like I said, if you're learning on-the-job training of how to operate a shotgun against a drone coming at you, it's going to be the last lesson you learn if you don't get it right. Anyways, thank you for listening to my ramble. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.